This is Tom Clements with King Air Academy. Let's talk about the proper closing of the door from inside. Grab the aft cable. Some doors have the two cables, some just have the standard aft cable. Grab that in both hands until you can grab a hold of the handle and then rotate it fully counterclockwise. That withdraws the hooks and pins so there's no bang against the side of the airplane at all. If you can hear that door close, you're doing it wrong. Now the handle goes all the way clockwise as far as it'll go. And now we have 6 checks we're going to make back here before we leave the door. The first one is just gently trying the handle, make sure it will not rotate to open position. Second, lift the door step, turn on the light here to verify that that red arm is up around the plunger, looking like the picture beside it says. Now that arm is what's keeping the handle from opening. So we really made 2 checks of that, manually and this visual one. So important. The plunger you're seeing there is connected to a diaphragm that has cabin air pressure on this side, outside air pressure on the other side. So the more pressurized we are, the more difficult it is to pull that thing out. And this upper button simply it connects to a lever arm, and by pushing here, I am pulling out here. So the more pressurized we are, the more difficult it is to push this, and the more difficult it is therefore to open the door. All right, so those are 2 checks. The other 4 are simply visually making sure that the green stripes are in the center of the window, indicating the 4 bayonets are properly extended. In a dark airplane, it's kind of hard to see those, so it's not a bad idea to carry a flashlight back here in one of the seat back pockets so you can take a good check of that at night. The 300 series also has some lights to illuminate and check the hooks up here, but most King Airs that does not have it. They do have the hooks, but no way to visually confirm their operation. The last 2 checks, of course, is after you go to the cockpit and turn on the battery. There should be no cabin door warning light if we close it properly. For most King Airs, 2 switches have to be happy to get rid of that light. One, you can actually see here, right on the edge of the arm that comes up, you'll see a roller of a micro switch there in position. So that's one switch that has to be hit. And the second one is the lower forward bayonet. Now let's open the door, push the button and hold it, rotate the handle, let it go, let the snubber grab it. Comes down nice and easy. And now we can actually feel that behind these other bayonet holes, there's nothing behind them. But this one, there is a switch. We can hear it click here, a plate that's being hit by that lower forward bayonet. Now let's talk about door operation from outside. Beech installs a little spring here to afford this lower cable a nice even curve, and you're overriding that design if we make it the lazy man's way of closing the door by grabbing this. Don't do that. Grab the door itself when you're going to close it and let that spring do its deal to give a nice even curve to this so we don't kink and eventually fray and break that cable. And at this point, make sure the upper part of that cable is on the inboard side of the snubber. The outside it tends to get trapped there. Now, just like an inside opening, about this time, we rotate the handle fully open, withdraws those hooks and pins. There's no banging whatsoever to close the door. It's just a matter of keeping bugs out of the airplane or towing it in the hangar. All you gotta do is just like that. That'll hold it just fine and not put all the tightness on the door seal. But of course, if you're really gonna lock it secure, then you do go all the way up. And just like inside, where we have to push a button to override that pressure hook diaphragm, same thing here. Here are 2 holes that let outside air get to that diaphragm. We push the button to get it to the narrow portion where the red arm can back off. And now make sure the snubber catches and the door lowers nice and gently. Also, while we're here, there's a threshold light switch. Different King Air models may take a slightly different appearance here, but turn that on and hot wire to the battery. There's a threshold light, and most King Airs, not all, have the optional lights on the bottom of the steps. The 200 and 300 series, they also have a light coming on out the bottom of the wing to shine on the ground so people see where they're stepping off also. The short wing King Airs do not have that, but the 200 and 300 series, they do. Now when we close the door and rotate the handle fully locked, the lights will go out. But on the other hand, to trust that all the time, if it doesn't work, you come back to a weakened or dead battery. So definitely make sure that we turn those light switches off when they're not needed. Speaking of hot wired lights, there's a baggage light that's hot wired for unloading and loading baggage at night. That one does not shut off with the door. So you gotta make sure you turn off that baggage light to keep your battery from being discharged. This is Tom Clements for King Air Academy.